Hey, all you podcast listeners, you can find Slice of the Paranormal everywhere podcasts are found, or you can watch us on our YouTube channel.
Hey, hi, hello there. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
I'm Ryan. This is Christy. This is Steve.
Hello.
And this is Slice of the Paranormal, the podcast where we talk about all kinds of paranormal stuff. Witches, ghosts, aliens.
Goblins.
Suicides.
Suicides?
Yeah. Suicides. Come on. Happens
It's a
everywhere.
nice light topic.
Well, sometimes you gotta bring up the darker side of life, especially with ghosts.
I like it. This on our podcast, we like to talk about. Well, let's start here. We investigate a situation that we can go to and check out. Steve gives us a slice of the information, and then when we get on the podcast here, we talk about what we saw, and Steve gives us the rest of the information.
Right. We purposely don't ask everything when we're there so that we can find out with you guys in real time. And we do tend to get a little silly sometimes, so just bear with us. But
sorry about that.
Yeah,
that
don't
does
take us
happen.
too seriously because we don't take ourselves too seriously.
Exactly. And while we're in town investigating, we always check out a local pizza place. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well.
Right.
Okay, so this week, the site that we went to check out was in Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania. And this is in Northumberland County, Pennsylvania, Central PA again. And the suicide cell actually is the original city hall to Mount Carmel.
Yeah, it was a cool building.
If you go there
tiny.
today, it's now called the Pink Moon Collective, which I really don't know what it's about because they started in 2020, but I've never gotten in. Every time I go there, it seems to be
the hours
closed.
are.
So I'm just not in the area, but it looks like a very holistic kind of shop.
I think so.
With good vibes. So it's kind of interesting to delve into the history of the site and kind of hear darker stories about this holistic place. So the history, that the building dates back to the 1880s when, Mount Carmel, a small town, needed a city hall. And they built this little tiny building.
Yeah, and it is tiny. I was really surprised by how small it is.
Yeah, when
for
you
a
think
city
of City
hall.
Hall, don't you think of a giant building?
I have it up now,
Right.
too.
Yeah, I guess for the people who aren't watching on YouTube, we could just describe that it's just a very small brick.
What is it, 20
building.
feet by 20 feet,
If
maybe?
that, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like maybe 2 rooms inside.
One story.
It's smaller
It's
than
tiny.
my living room.
But it looks very governmental. It's
Right.
very even the top
Official.
of it looks like it was built
Right.
for.
Yeah, it's all brick. It's nothing you wouldn't drive by and be like, oh my God, that's City Hall.
Right, but
So
quite tiny.
when you delve into the history, I found a newspaper article that said, 6 suicides took place in this place. So the newspaper article, made me look into it more. So the cell was used for if you did a minor infraction, that you got caught drinking in Mount Carmel, you broke a window, you were going to go to jail for the night.
When are we talking about?
We're talking about the early 1900s.
Okay, it's not too long.
So the first suicide that I'm going to talk about happens in 1911, So if you got there, you were doing something stupid. They were going to arrest you, probably fine you, but keep you in the cell for maybe a day or two till you got your fine. So nothing that should cause you to be like, this is it, I'm ending it all. But the first person that I've found that has tried to commit suicide in the cell is a guy named Anthony Smelgoose. Now,
Wait,
I know.
say that again, please.
Anthony Smelgoose.
Smell with an M.
Yeah, with an M, smell. Yeah, so if you think about it, that's a horrible name nowadays.
I love it.
But he tried to hang himself with his own belt while in the cell, which is in the basement. So when you're looking at the structure, you're seeing the first level. There's steps up into it, but there's a basement to it where the jail cell was. So he tries to hang himself with his belt. The police chief, Abe Morgan, finds him half dead and cuts him down. The physician revives him, and his crime and what led him to trying to commit suicide, he was caught breaking windows in Mount Carmel.
He got caught breaking windows.
Like just breaking windows,
Just
like
breaking
with rocks.
windows. Like, yeah, hard criminal there.
Shits
I
and
can't
gigs
live with
or
this
what?
shame anymore.
Yeah, God forbid my family hears I've been breaking windows on a weekend. But then you fast forward to like 1915. Anthony Smelgoose's own wife is also dies, but this time in the Hazleton jail. They are fumigating for bugs at this jail, and they forget about this woman.
No.
So, like, she almost got fumigated to death by accident. So hers was not quite the same.
But why was
in a
she in
different
jail?
place?
Well, it's interesting that you ask why she was in jail, because she was in jail because she tried to sell in the middle of winter her child's coat for alcohol money. Oh. So it kind of gives you an idea of the smell gooses.
The good old smell gooses.
They're probably not your number one citizens.
Most upstanding.
Hey, there's probably some really nice smell gooses out there right now.
Yeah, I'm not picking on the smell
I'm not
gooses.
disparaging any current smell
but
gooses.
these particular smell
Would they be
gooses
smell geese?
Yeah.
gave
I think they'd be smell geese,
Geisen,
right?
Smell
smell
wouldn't
geese.
Right. If there's multiple smell goose, would they be smell geese?
Is that like the plural of the smell
The
gooses?
smell geese family reunion.
See, I'm really bad with names. In fact, you're going to notice if you watch a bunch of these episodes that I probably butcher people's names from multiple cultures. And
Yeah.
I mean no offense to any culture. I'm very
right,
open.
Steve. We know you mean offense to everyone.
trying to offend
Yeah, I'm
people.
You're
just
trying
an
to.
offensive person
Yes.
in general.
That's your MO.
No, that's a good COA. We do our best.
Exactly. So then we come to like 1925. There's a guy named Stanley Chablinski who also decides, I'm going to hang myself with my belt because, why
not? Right.
I'm in this jail cell for God knows. I might be here 24, 48 hours.
It's just a one cell, right?
Yeah, there's only one cell in this
So it's the
from what I gather.
basement and just one cell, and that's it.
And
the
that's
basement.
it. And so
Is there somebody stationed in the basement to be
there is.
watching?
Like in the first case, the police chief, Abe Morgan, stops the guy from succeeding. But then when you get to Stanley Chablinski, he succeeds. And this happens, he hangs himself with his belt in 1925. Then you fast forward to February 9th, 1928, a guy named Martin Kulovich.
Martin Kulovich?
Kulovich? I'm
Kulovich?
telling you, I'm butchering his name. Well, what I do know is he's a 43-year-old miner. Okay, at the time in 1925, miners didn't have a great life. Things didn't improve much from the Molly Maguire times in the 1880s. So he was kind of down on his luck, and he threatened to kill his wife. So, we've all been there, all of us married people, You say something and slips passion, you don't really want to kill her. Well, not always.
Right.
So he gets arrested, just for trying to commit to, saying he's going to kill his wife.
So just for threatening it?
Just for threatening. So a fellow prisoner awoke at 3 a.m. in the morning, which any ghost hunter knows is supposedly the Antichrist
witching hour.
The witching hour. It's got many names.
Right.
But at 3 o'clock in the morning, he finds him lying on the floor with a noose made of neckties. So this is new. At least he's not using a belt like everybody else.
Where did he get the neckties?
He's inventive.
I'm assuming he used his own necktie. Maybe it was super long. I can't imagine any guy would be carrying an extra necktie.
Right.
But then again, I'm not alive.
3 of them on me.
I'm not alive in 1928, so I don't really know what's going on.
Didn't they
back
wear
then.
2 ties in Back to the Future too? Wasn't that like did they wear 2 ties?
they might.
What am I thinking of?
Yeah, something.
Maybe it was a cultural, I'm cooler than you, kind of like me
Might have
wearing
been
my
Back to the
hat.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was, and they had 2 ties.
Yeah, where they went to the future.
Yeah, and that was like 2016 or something like that. Or
Right.
Maybe that's her way of saying, listen, I'm not normal. You know, I'm my own man. I wear 2 neckties. Screw your rules.
True.
This is how, yeah.
Officer Cannon finds him dead. So he's not saved. He doesn't get to go to the position.
Again, I want to stress how small this building is. And if there's supposed to be someone watching the cell, how are they not seeing people kill
This
themselves?
room that we're in is bigger
than
whole
that building.
Yeah, like if you think about it, like these guys are obviously not parents, because if your kid is making a noise in the room beneath you, a parent can hear a pin drop.
Or anybody who's cared for children.
Yeah. Like these people are able to commit suicide and get away with it.
Yeah,
You know?
I just don't understand that.
So here it gets even creepier. So the guy I just mentioned was Stanley Chablinski, and he dies in 1925. He was 2 guys ago.
Okay.
So we get to March 4th, 1930. Anthony Chablinski, the brother of Stanley, who has already committed suicide in the cell, gets arrested at 55 years old. And he was actually found by 2 drunks hanging by his cell door. Chief Burgess Elmer Delcamp had placed him in the cell only 30 minutes prior. And
Damn, that was quick.
so he attempted the same suicide in the same cell a year before the chief of police, Abe Morgan, had saved him. So he had done this before.
Oh, my gosh.
This was his second time of
He was like obsessed with.
I'm going to kill myself in the same cell that my brother.
You said the brother
Could
was
that be like a
1928?
possession?
The brother was 1925. Stanley dies in 1925.
So we're only 5 years later.
It's only 5 years later, so anyone that's lost a family member knows it's a touchy subject.
Definitely.
Right.
So it's very interesting. So that all these people are trying to commit suicide in this random little cell for minor infractions.
Is it number 3?
But
Is that how many so far?
this person you were talking
Actually,
about.
I don't have all the names, but we know that there are 6 successful suicides in the cell.
The one you were just talking about, he was there and then had come back and tried again.
Yeah,
right?
he had done something before, tried to commit suicide. They let him go. He comes back a year later, and he's finally successful.
Could that be something like, I don't know, like a maniacal obsession or something, like a possession that gets into him and just makes him like...
To me, that's where the
perseverate
paranormal
over
comes
it?
in. Like,
Yeah.
there are, as a person that tries to debunk things, like what I'm wondering is, it's in the basement. And we're in the coal region.
Sure.
So are there gases maybe coming up through the basement?
For sure.
That are causing these people to want to commit suicide?
Well, and they're minors, right?
Well, I mean, they're minors as in the fact that they dig coal, not minors as in,
Right.
I shouldn't be drinking right now.
Right. But like that's what I'm saying. Like minors, they got black lung and whatever else, all those.
They're dealing with a lot
So
of stuff going on.
I'm sure that plays into their mental health as well.
So you're dealing with people that are not being paid properly. They're living in a area where there's not many opportunities. So a lot of them go to drinking,
Yeah.
So there's alcoholism's a recurring theme in a lot of these.
And wait, what years? These are like 20s, 30s? So we're probably talking about like homemade hooch and stuff at this time too.
Anywhere from 1911 to 1930 that I've been able to find people's names. Now, I'm sure there's at least 2 more people that committed suicide, but I don't have their names, so I can't do any research on them. So when we go to the site and we checked it out, we see a small little building, and we wonder, like, what makes them go to that level? Like, is it personal demons?
Yeah.
Is there some demonic force of this basement that's making
I
people?
think I'm voting for force in the basement. That's where I'm going. Because why would people with minor infractions decide, I'm just going to off myself tonight? Like,
Exactly.
Is there any evidence of anything else?
Well, the only thing that draws me to the demonic is the fact that the 3 a.m., the guy being found at 3 a.m., like, he was just in that cell for 30 minutes. I'm sorry, but you're not really bored after 30 minutes.
Yeah,
like, you're not there like, oh,
you can put up with most
end it
shit
all.
for 30 minutes.
yeah, but he could have went in there with a purpose to do that. Like he could actually, that was his goal.
And was that the one who was there before?
The one I tried
yes,
before.
it was the one that his brother had committed suicide in the
so
jail.
that goes back to the
He tried to kill
possession or obsession.
Yeah, so like the 3 o'clock really stood out to me in the newspaper recordings. Like, that's a weird time for that, to happen. Like at 3 a.m., if I'm drunk and I'm locked up in the local jail, I'm probably going to sleep.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to sleep this off. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. I'm not going to try to commit suicide with my belt or neckties.
Yeah.
So,
did they say how he did that one? The second, the brother?
They did not. Well, they say that he hung himself with a belt.
Oh, he was a belt. Okay.
So within 30 minutes, he's got his belt off. He's hanging himself with the belt, and 2 drunks.
This was before police officers realized they need to be taking belts and shoelaces
I don't think
from
in
most people.
1930 there's like suicide watches like Epstein had. I think it's a little more loosey goosey.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you think
smell goosey,
if you even go back to like 1860, like when Abraham Lincoln is assassinated, like he had a police officer guarding him and should have been in the hallway, but want to guess where the police officer was?
Watching him play.
The bar?
He was at the bar next door. He wasn't even in the same building. But back then,
that was close enough.
They only feared like the transport of these people, and like
once they were there, they were
once
safe.
they were there, they were safe. They figured that if something would happen, it would happen in the transport. And I'm sure that the prisoners were looked at in the same way that Abraham Lincoln is looked at. He's already in the jail. What's going to happen? But
apparently,
if they were going to transport him from the jail to the courthouse, if your friend's going to try to release you, that's when they're going to do it. If you're going to try to run, that's when you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So they're probably not so worried.
And again, if they're just in there on minor things, they're not thinking, this person's going to try and kill himself because they got drunk tonight.
And then
it is weird.
It's so weird because how did 2 drunks find him? Where were those 2 drunks hanging out in a police station?
Well, the 2 drunks
in a jail cell.
The 2 drunks were also being arrested.
Oh, okay.
So they were going to be taken to the same cell.
So maybe,
and they had to sober up, and they'd probably get a fine the next day and get released home to their wives, so that their wives could yell at them. And why they're spending their money paying fines.
Maybe the whole story is that Mount Carmel was just too busy with drunk people, and they just had their hands full.
Well, it's odd because Mount Carmel, for anyone that studies it, in this time period, it was known as the city of churches because they had churches everywhere.
Sounds like Pennsylvania.
And for per capita,
especially
they had one of the largest number of churches. But it also had bars. And quite a few of them. So there's churches and bars everywhere in our entire region.
Absolutely.
We even have a local group that makes fun of it by singing about churches and bars being in Shamokin, which is just the town over. So that's about it on the ghost lore of the Colliery House. Of the suicide cell.
But you did say, I remember you telling me before there was only men who were successful.
Correct.
But some females did attempt it in the cell.
Yeah, it was Anthony Smelgoos's wife, who I didn't find out her name in this, I don't think.
I think it's Patricia.
Yeah, but you're going to go with Patricia?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Patricia.
Mary's also a very popular name back then.
Yeah.
But, before we ended up going to that pizza place, I told you guys about the Reliance Colliery Ghost, and that's on Harmony Road in Mount Carmel.
I got 2 pictures here. Which one do you want me to show?
Either one. Whichever one looks creepier.
That's
what I would go with.
All right, let's try the other one.
All right, so what happens, this colliery is built in 1867, and in the shadow of the colliery, a tragic tale took place.
What's a colliery?
A colliery is where they're processing the coal.
Oh.
So we have them all over the place. You'll see a tall building and a ramp that's going down, and in the ramp going down, it's if if I'm correct, and miners, totally me know if I'm wrong. I think either the coal's going up or they're sorting it as it's coming down.
Is that where like the breaker boys would be?
I think that's where the breaker boys would be. I might be wrong.
Call it the Reliance Breaker.
Look like what the picture that we have pulled
because
up
I think as the coal's
audio
tumbling down the
listeners.
ramp, they're pulling out the larger chunks and kind of sorting it out.
Right.
They're taking out the rock and leaving the coal go because there's ways to sort it and grade it. So on this old Harmony Road Harmony Road, this old Lithuanian woman who had just moved to Mount Carmel like maybe 6 months prior. Her name was Annie Metzgas. And she still hadn't learned the language. She's living with her daughter and her daughter's husband on, I think, if I remember correctly, it's Plum Street. I might be wrong.
Okay.
But she's on 1903. She's actually walking out along the colliery, and she's picking huckleberries. Well, this is a time period before we had, the Weather Channel or AccuWeather. So
it's a time period where you would walk near the colliery to pick huckleberries.
Exactly. She had no money. So she was picking these huckleberries because she was going to sell them in town for extra cash. Everyone had a side hustle back then. They didn't have DoorDash.
Right.
So
making pies.
I guess Annie was the DoorDash of 1903. You need your huckleberries? Come to me.
I'm the huckleberry girl.
Yeah, exactly. So she's out there picking these huckleberries, no big deal. But then a storm rolls in. And I mean, it's a mother of storms. There's like lightning crashing, heavy rain. This Lithuanian woman starts running home to her daughter's house. There's a guy at the local school, and his name is Wilson Blue. Or no, not Wilson Blue. That's another guy. There's a guy that's at the school that's like working on the school, and he sees this old woman running down the road.
Okay. I'm sorry, Steve. Remind me what year this was again?
1903.
1903. Thank you.
This woman's running down the road, and he's like, "Hey, it's storming. Get out of the way. Go into the shed. Yeah. But she doesn't understand English. Oh. So all she sees is some random guy yelling at her.
Yeah.
So what does she do? She runs faster. Mm-hmm. So she runs faster, and she disappears out of sight. He doesn't know what happens, but he's like, well, screw her. I gave her a chance.
Yep.
But the next day, a guy named Wilson Blue is on his way to the colliery. I think it might even be later that night. And Wilson Blue finds a dead woman in a grove of trees, and she was struck on the head by lightning.
No way.
And killed. So that Lithuanian woman ends up dying, and
got struck on the head.
Annie Metzgas gets struck on the head. Her hair is scorched. Her shoes had been blasted off her. And the tin pail she was carrying huckleberries and got crushed by her body.
But she was within a grove of trees.
Yeah, so she probably.
That's where she ended up.
I'm sure if you go to a grove of trees, you're hoping that you're at least covered from the rain.
Oh,
right.
That's true.
But also hoping that the lightning hits the taller thing.
Yeah.
And
if you're in a grove of the tallest trees,
right,
you're making a valid error. Now, I mean, not many people know this, but I was struck by lightning in 1994.
What?
Yeah. So, yep.
You're right.
It totally makes sense, though. Of all the people that would, I would be like, you're lying. I believe.
You're like,
yeah, I was standing on my porch, and I'm an idiot, and anyone that knows me knows I'm an idiot. It's raining, and the floor is covered in water, and the lightning struck like 30 feet away from me, but all I saw was a flash of light.
Okay.
So, and it blasted me off my feet and against the wall. So my parents heard me hitting the wall.
So you're what, 17 at this time?
I was
16?
probably about 20.
Okay.
When this happened in 1994?
Yeah,
no,
you were younger.
I was 18.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
So I get struck by lightning. It took 20 minutes for me to actually be able to talk at a slow enough rate for people to understand me.
You were like the Micro Machines guy when you woke up?
Yeah.
Did you know what happened, or what were you?
Yeah, I knew what happened. I was scared to death. I mean, it's taken years to get over that.
Wow.
So I kind of feel for this chick. That's crazy.
I feel for anybody who gets struck by lightning. Let's just put that out there. Like,
you should
I
feel
do
more
not
for me
wanna
because
experience that.
I didn't get any superpowers, and I'm still very pissed about that.
There needed to be a
they haven't
spider
kicked in yet.
near you.
Like I've been struck by lightning. I've been freaking bit by a
You
spider.
did get bit by a crazy spider.
And neither time did I get like web slinging abilities.
They weren't together. So
Yeah,
you
it
need
needed to happen
have-
on the same
Or
day.
some radiation.
Thanks for rooting for my future demise.
Different
by,
No.
timeline.
a spider biting me while being struck by lightning.
Or radiation. Don't forget, I said
Hey,
radiation.
there's lots of options left.
Okay, well,
Let's not
at
limit
least-
yourself here,
at
Right,
least
right,
my
right.
world is open
Yeah.
to me.
Plenty of ways you can get superpowers.
So to get to the back to like Annie here,
Yeah.
a girl dying and being struck by lightning is not paranormal. So why the hell am I bringing her up? But the Undertaker's summoned. She's, they gather her up, and But a few weeks later, her ghost is first seen by a young man on July 27th of 1903. According to the Mount Carmel item, her ghost is seen running down the road.
Going like this. No.
And she runs into a grove of clump of trees, and people will see a blast of light, which is kind of like what I saw, where all you see is lights. And she disappears at that point. So this happened not just once. It wasn't just one person. The newspaper reported it because it was heard or seen 3 times.
Like real recently after
So
her-
like real
after
recently
death.
after her death. Now, I haven't heard of any like modern tellings of this, like
Since 1903.
since 1903. Like I
Right.
read this in reports, but I do find it interesting that we have like in the same town we have Annie Metzgas getting struck by lightning and her ghost being seen, and it's the same town that the suicide cell is in.
It's interesting.
That is
Are there any
interesting.
ghosts related to the suicide cell? Are reported?
I have not heard of any ghosts. That's why I want to get into the Pink Moon Collective. I want to see what the people that work there now and what they're doing is, see if there's any changes. From everything I can gather, they look like an amazing shop with very positive people. So I think that if anyone can change the vibe of that place,
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
it'd be someone that's hanging crystals or all over the place.
Right.
So that's kind of my hope.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty much my story on
Okay.
the suicide cell. Now, when you guys went there, what were your experiences?
I mean, other than just being, again, it was so small. It was just so small. That's really all I can.
Yeah, there's really not that much
overwhelmingly, it was small.
to look at.
Yeah.
You got a couple windows on each side. We went around the back because there was like they had picnic tables out back now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty pleasant environment, to be honest with you, for being
Right.
the suicide cell.
Exactly.
I mean,
So
Do a lot of Mount Carmelians know that it's the
Yeah, do they even
suicide
know?
cell?
I honestly don't think they do. I think I read antique newspapers for fun. I don't know many people that do that.
I don't know anybody that does
So
that. One person.
I think one person, me. There's a couple others, but it is interesting. Like that's why I want to share these stories because these are the stories that will be lost. And I swear, people probably drive by that. It's just off Route
right.
61.
Yeah, right there.
By like maybe a block. I think many people go through Mount Carmel and have no idea of the history that they're surrounded by. And that's just not just Mount Carmel. But
Everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere. Every little town you go to, if you talk to people, there's a story that's worthy of retelling.
Oh, yeah.
And that people just will never know about. So hopefully that's one of the things our podcast does is we highlight the unusual, highlight the weirdness, and let people know of the stuff that's kind of hidden in your backyard.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so this Wilson Blue, who found her,
Yes.
did he ever go on to do anything? Because he's got a great name for music or something. Like that's
he does have a great
that's a
name.
perfect stage name for something.
I mean, in my head, I'm hearing Will Ferrell going, "You're my boy, Blue.
Yeah.
You're my boy."
Old school.
But I would wager a guess. No. He was a miner.
Yeah.
Like miners' lives, typically, the more you search into them, the worse they become.
Right.
So I'm assuming he probably lived a meager existence And
It's too bad. He could have had a career in
I hope
blues
Wilson
or
Blue,
you know?
made it and left the mine and, maybe started a band.
Maybe he went to the Crossroads and made a deal with a Crossroads demon.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why there's suicides.
Like,
and
what
the
is his name?
suicides.
Robert Johnson.
Right.
Who made the famous Deal with the Devil at the Crossroads.
Right.
I'm really bad at playing the guitar, even though I make them. So if I'm ever...
You do make guitars.
Yeah, if I ever get good at it, I will probably have gone to a Crossroads, because like if I start playing something and Ryan's like, "Oh, that's good," yeah, I sold my soul to somebody.
So you'd mess with the Crossroads demon, huh?
Well, I'd sell my.
I've thought about it.
Not Satan, but probably to like Barney. I'd sell my soul to Barney.
Feels like Jeff,
where like demon. I have to hear the Barney theme song for the rest of my life, but maybe not burn in hell type deal. So.
Yeah, I'm not giving away my soul.
Yeah, it's like a early Simpsons episode where Bart sells his soul for an F1 racer or something.
Yeah, I'd probably be conned into something like that. So I have sympathy for Bart.
Of course.
Another reason you should watch Supernatural. There's quite a bit on Crossroads demons in that show.
Oh yeah, a lot.
I just saw two of the performers for that this weekend. Jim Beaver, who was on the show.
Yeah.
Bobby. Is that Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby. And
oh, my God. Bobby's, like, iconic.
The actor that played Lucifer, I don't know his
name. Oh, yeah.
Played Lucifer.
And then,
I know who he is, but I can't remember his name.
All my friends are like, "Oh, did you talk to him?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
"That's cool."
I'm like, "No, I didn't talk to him. I had nothing to say." I did get a picture of the car because the car is awesome.
Oh, Baby, yeah.
Yeah, the car is awesome.
Baby's like a character upon herself in the show.
And then I had a friend, Carrie, that said that, driver picks the tunes and passenger shuts his pie hole.
Yeah. That's the one.
So next time I see them, maybe I'll have to watch the show, and check it out.
I think we should get together sometime and watch a couple episodes. Introduce Steve
why not?
I'm up for it. Anything supernatural, I'm game for it.
Literally called Supernatural, so...
What was the pizza that we went to when we went there that day?
That was, so Mount Carmel Hollywood Pizza. Do you remember it now?
Oh.
Right on the main street.
I do think so.
Right in downtown Mount Carmel. This place was a little different. Do you remember?
That was good.
I do.
For being called Hollywood, I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of ghetto.
It had like a bakery vibe, right? It had like you're walking into like a bodega or a bakery or...
I think the thing
they are also a bakery.
weirded me out was
be why.
I'm not one of those that like to leave my trash on the table. And if I remember correctly, wasn't that the place that had the trash can like in the kitchen?
I think
it was like
so.
8 feet behind the counter.
It was a little, the layout was bizarre.
It was bizarre, yeah.
But I actually really liked the pizza.
Yeah,
I
was
remember.
Rectangular pan pizza.
Yeah.
Not traditional. It had, when we got it, the one thing we did like was that it had nice brown on it, which is...
Right. Good cook. That. Good cook on it.
Crispy.
Yeah, the crisp.
The crisp of it.
The crisp on it,
The crisp crust.
Christy, I'll go with you first. You gave a 3.75.
Yeah, that's pretty high for me.
Wouldn't eat more than one piece. I like the cheese and crust a lot. Pretty high score for you.
Yeah, for me, that's real high. I remember it being, I think it's more like an American cheese blend, which I tend to like.
Could be.
On pizzas, it's kind of a regional thing.
It's because we're Nardone's kids.
Yeah, we are Nardone's kids.
Nardone's kids.
But, I mean, I like both, but I remember it not being too greasy either, which for me is a big deal. Like, if pizza's really greasy, I'm just turned off immediately, so.
Yeah, it was different, but
And I would eat more than one, absolutely.
It was not bad. It was not. It was good. Steve, you gave it a 3.75 also. You really enjoyed the cheese slice after you ate your pepperoni slice, because Steve always eats a pepperoni slice.
I do.
We'd like to keep it even. Try the same thing at every place.
Exactly.
You said pizza was good, just didn't love the ambiance, which I think
you still remember that
a lot. Ryan said 3.5. That's me. I said 3.5. I could eat more because it was really robust and good. Place was also a bakery. I did write that down. Decent amount of cheese, and the crust was great. I just really enjoyed that pizza. 3.5 is pretty high for me.
That's solid for you.
Especially for American-type cheese.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what cheese they used, but it was good. And like I said, it was brown, so I like that.
You're right. We like our pizza well done.
There was nowhere else in town to get pizza, though, right? Oh, there was an OIP or something.
There was something else there, but...
We're trying to avoid like chain.
Yeah, we want to
shops.
hit a regional thing.
Right.
Local.
Something local.
Local
something
favorites.
that not everyone
If we
can try.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can. Now, not to say we might end up at one point get a gas station pizza and have to try that.
Like have to go to Papa
it
John's
may
or
happen.
Domino's. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes there's no pizza
It
place
may
close
happen.
by. And I know all these places, we talked about this before, a lot of these places we're going to right now are in Pennsylvania. That's where we're from. We're starting in Pennsylvania. But here in the near future, we are spreading our wings.
Yes. Very
we
excited.
have plans to go into New Jersey very shortly. And we have plans to go to Sleepy Hollow, New York.
Connecticut.
New Haven, Connecticut, which is good for both ghosts and pizza. So we're very excited about that. A bunch of places we're getting out there. So
Maybe Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully.
As these go on Appalachia, we will farther and farther is the plan, right?
yeah, I mean, I'm looking up places all over. West Virginia, New Jersey, New York,
Perfect.
Ohio. Like, hopefully at some point, people can start reaching out to us and be like, "Hey, I have this haunted site."
That's a great
Right.
idea.
And I would love to have your team come out. And by the way, if you have this haunted site, you should know where the best pizza is. So don't send us somewhere
Right.
crappy.
That's right. Also,
Hey, And also, can we mention what we're going to be doing Friday night here in our studio? I think it's really cool.
Yeah, because that episode's actually probably already come out.
I'm not sure when it's coming out, but we're actually going to investigate this studio with my ghost hunting team, the Coal Region Paranormal team. We're going to check out the studio because we've heard reports that people have seen shadow people here.
Yeah.
And that they've heard noises. So
Lots of stories.
we're going to do an investigation at the site. So one of our future episodes is going to be about the Stone State Studio.
Right here at 8 Days a Week Studio in Northumberland, Pennsylvania.
We'll
We're
see
pretty
what
excited
happens.
about that. The
Very
whole team's
excited.
coming in. We're gonna be here late at night, so we'll see what kind of stuff happens. And you can follow us on our social media and just see what happens because that kind of stuff we'll put up on our Facebook as soon as we have it, pictures and stuff. So. But that's about it for today.
I think that wraps
so.
it up.
So, coming back to the Hollywood Pizza, I would like to say that I would definitely haunt
Oh yeah, I
this
forgot about
site.
that.
Well, but you didn't like the ambiance, so
would
would
you
you
haunt it?
really?
I would
wanna-
haunt the pizza. I would just take it away and maybe go to the
Not
It was
eat
just
there.
Harmony Road and maybe check out, see if Annie runs by me and,
She could lighten your pizza.
yeah, to avoid the ambiance, maybe go to Harmony Road or maybe go to the suicide cell,
Yeah, just go.
Which
Who's
was
gonna commit
surprisingly
suicide?
pleasant.
We did see picnic tables out back. No,
Yeah, who's going to commit suicide while eating pizza?
Again, with Steve, when you were pitching this idea to us, you sent us a picture of the suicide cell, which was decorated with Easter eggs.
Yeah, Easter
So
eggs.
like, it was like, imagine the most opposite thing from suicide is
Yeah.
spring, life, bloom.
Yes, I'm going to take you to a scary place that has Easter
And then
eggs.
it's got these giant Easter eggs and bunnies and chicks outside. Suicide cell.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was kind of
so
funny.
scary.
Hey, all you foodies and ghoulies out there. Have you had a personal experience with something that we talked about today or you would like to add to the episode? Please feel free to reach out to us at our email at sliceoftheparanormal@gmail.com. And if you do like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and follow us on our social media platforms.
This podcast was produced by Stone State Entertainment.